Hey, sorry I'm a couple minutes late here, but we're within 5 minutes of on time, so I consider that a win. Today's Christmas Eve, as most everyone knows. So we have something at my mom's house later, so this will be a probably not too long of a stream. It'll be just me. I was taking a break from the Laura Owens cases for reasons I'm not going to get into right now, but I was trying not to really pay too much attention to that because it just got to be a little bit too much. And then I saw this website, and I was like, I can't just not mock this website because this is, oh my God, this is a mess. But our new friend, Melissa Jade, who has been kind of discovering this stuff for the first time in the last couple of months, she's been doing streams on Laura's old posts and the like, and Laura has been reporting her streams relentlessly for bullying and harassment and getting them removed. So that reminded me, I probably should have a backup. And some of you guys know I used to stream on Twitch. That's actually where I started. I was just playing Fortnite. I wasn't like trying to do commentary YouTube or anything like that. This was an accident. But so what I'm trying to do now is have that as a backup. So just to show you real quick before we start looking at this website, if you have a Twitch account, you can go follow me here just in case stuff gets removed off of YouTube. I don't think it should, but you know, it's possible. It's always possible with her, unfortunately. So let me share this real quick. It's the same username. Yeah, just Lethal Lauren 904. I don't use it very much. Like I didn't use it for, God, it looks like 2 years now. So, but I have some of my more recent videos on here, like all my streams after they're done, I'll be posting them on here. So if they get removed from YouTube for some reason, they're also live streaming to Twitch. So if it crashes or something happens, you can find it there. I'll put a link in the. Okay, so if you could, you can go follow me over there just in case something happens here. So always a good idea to have a backup when it comes to Laura's stuff. So, all right. So I got tagged in this tweet by the Justice for Clayton on X about a website that Laura Owens had made. And I can't say for sure that she made it. I mean, I know that she made it, but I can't prove it. You know what I mean? So I can't like come out and say like she definitely made this website, but based on her behavior and her, you know, statements in the past and her language and just the tone of these articles, you can tell that she wrote it. Like, in my opinion, there's just no way she didn't. But there's an archive link to this website that I want to look at first because it has some things on here that you can't see now. So here is the actual website that's up now, justiceforlaura.com. Justice for Laura Owens. And like, first of all, like you can't even get your own thing. You have to rip off of Clayton's thing. That seems a little weird. Oh, fake Laura Owens. Thank you for the $2. Hi, I haven't seen you in a minute. How's it going? Also, we have Jack Fox in the chat. Big fan of Jack. If you haven't seen him, it's never a truer word. He's analyzed some of her like emails and documents in the past, which are really good. Jack is also just like the same. I say the same thing about Omar. And it's not like I know that when people say when you talk, I like want to fall asleep. It's supposed to be an insult. Like they're saying you're so boring. But for me, it's just like, no, you're just kind of like, I just want to like chill out and listen. And it just like sometimes it just kind of drift off. You know what I mean? But Jack is pretty chill. So, all right, let's see. If you were a Justice for Laura contributor, come do an interview on my channel. Yeah. Justice for Laura contributors, we'll get into that. Let's put it that way. But this is the website as you can see it right now as it's live. But we have the archive, which Justice for Clayton on X posted, which shows some more stuff that was on it before that may have been removed now, or I just haven't found the link to it yet. But you can see on this website kind of the angle she's trying to take. A lot of it is like a rip off her old Medium posts. You can see pretty transparently what she's trying to do here, where she says stuff like the national stakes of the Laura Owens prosecution. She's trying to kind of get people invested in her situation. Oh my God, my phone always does this to me. But you can kind of see like she's trying to like kind of draw people in and think like, if this happens to me, it can happen to you too. Because she's trying to pass off what she's done as a much lesser thing and like leave out these huge details, like how she stole someone's identity and their ultrasound, you know what I mean? Like use someone else's ultrasound intentionally, left a Fiverr logo in there. So she leaves that stuff out and she makes it sound like she's just somebody who, took someone to paternity court and now they're treating her as a fraud because she lost the baby, right? But that's not what happened. She was never pregnant. Like, she intentionally committed fraud. And so she's trying to reach out and grip people in a way who have been through like courts for paternity or family court issues, and try to draw these like vulnerable people in who have had struggles and maybe suffered from, injustices in the court system, and say like, look what's happening to me. This could happen to you too. Like, you should care. You should care about me, basically. And just trying to basically create a little victim narrative for herself, which she's always doing, but she wants to create like a group of people, I guess, who are invested in her story, because it's like, well, if something bad happens to me, then it's this huge injustice that could be used to punish you too. But the thing is, these people who are going to read her story here and don't have all the facts, they're going to relate to something that isn't real, because we all know that she did a lot more than what she's putting on these pages. And I'm not going to go through and read all these articles right now. I pulled some excerpts and quotes that I'll go through on some of them. Not all of them. I'm going to have to save some for another day, just because, like I said, it is Christmas Eve. So I will first show you this archive link again. So this is what I was tagged in today. Let me zoom in a little bit. And you can see on here, she's got all kinds of weird, crazy crap. So the first thing that stuck out to me is also like, concert for justice, music for Laura Owens. Justice for Laura Owens. And this is stuff that has been posted on this website that was archived. So it's not stuff that the archive just pulled out of its ass, right? So she actually put these things on her website. And some of these links, you can tell she uses like stock images. And I'll show you that too. And it's like, maybe some of this was just like the layout of the website when she started it. But at the same time, if you're selling tickets to a pretend concert, that's kind of a big deal. You better put the right venue on the listing. You know what I mean? So hang on. So here's what I'm talking about with the stock images. So support Laura Owens. And then she uses this image, which has to be a stock image. There's absolutely no way these people are just like random Laura Owens supporters out on vacation taking photos of themselves saying, please put this on your Justice for Laura Owens website. You know what I mean? So this has to be like some kind of stock photo. But of course, she is going to accept donations here. And as I said, I can't prove that she's the person who made the website, but I'm very confident that it is based on her, previous behavior and statements. Where do you think these donations are going to be going? Your contributions will enable us to continue our efforts in advocating for justice for Laura Owens. Every donation, no matter the size, makes a difference. Thank you for standing with us. Who is us? So we have her parents who just went bankrupt because they kept, like taking out loans and not paying them back and paying her legal fees to commit fraud against these men. And then we have Laura, who also just declared bankruptcy because she doesn't have a job and doesn't, have any money, and she can't pay back Clayton for what the court says she owes him now. Anyone have a ticket to the concert? No, I hope not. So I don't know, man. Like, it's pretty obvious where this is going. But she now has a public defender. So that money, it wouldn't even be going to attorney's fees. And it's not going to be going to anything related to this website, because I'm pretty sure there's no actual organization, Justice for Laura, that's doing any kind of advocacy work or anything like that. I'm pretty sure. So this is pretty transparent to me. She just went bankrupt and she'll do anything but get a job. So she's been sitting there, in my opinion, creating this website. I think that she's behind it. I can't imagine anyone else thinks that she's not behind it, because who the fuck else would have done this? Especially with like the story points and the language being straight, like a straight pull from her Medium articles. Like, it's just all, you're either Laura, you're David, or you're fucking stupid. I'm sorry. There's nobody else who would have made this website. So, and I gotta say, I think maybe she did this without him. I don't know. He may have weighed in on a couple of things, but I can't really say. So, all right, let me pull this up real quick. So here's one of the things I'm talking about. Activism through media workshop. January 5th, Community Center. And this is in Boston, Massachusetts. So just to double check, there is no community center at 123 Elm Street, Boston. It's like condos and apartments. I checked it out. But okay. Hang on, let's see this real quick. This was my favorite one. Concert for Justice, music for Laura Owens. Again, all these are supposed to be on Monday, January 5th. The Concert Hall, 200 East 8th Street, Los Angeles. Yeah, that's not a concert hall. I looked that up too. Not a real thing. I mean, I don't know what else to say about this. This has to be a joke. Like, I think this must be why she pulled this stuff down. Because this is on the archive, but you can't see it. As far as I can tell, I could be wrong, but you can't see it on the actual website now. Like, she pulled it. But it was archived, so it was there. And it's like advertising this concert, which apparently does not exist. And it appears, buy tickets for it to this concert at a venue that doesn't exist. So, first of all, she can't cross state lines to go to Boston or Los Angeles or New York, which I saw was another thing that she was trying to do without court approval. And second, this is just more fraud. Be very careful with your website, lady. Like, you know, they can find out who's behind this. That stuff can be subpoenaed. Like, they can find out that you're behind this. Just be very careful. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. If you want to continue to commit fraud, that's fine. But don't say I didn't warn you. But I have no idea who would have been performing at this concert, which is supposed to take place in, it's the 24th right now? Less than 2 weeks? Less than 2 weeks? I mean, thanks for the heads up. I would like to have purchased a ticket, but I guess there was no heads up, and now it's not on the website anymore. I can only assume that it's sold out. You know, otherwise, why would you take it off other than the deliberate fraud? But it is what it is. No one needs to go this hard to troll her. No, this is not a troll. This is not a troll. Does anyone remember the name of that small YouTuber Laura went after a few years ago on Christmas? That was Liz Neptune. She lives somewhere within a few hours of where I live in Florida. So she called the cops out here on Liz Neptune and tried to get her in trouble with the police out in Florida. Because Liz Neptune, and I don't think it was even her TikTok video. I think she like commented on an existing TikTok video. Someone would have to correct me. It's been like 2 years or 3 years now, almost 3, maybe 2. So, dude, that was insane. But yeah, okay. But no, this very much seems like her words and her writing. It does not appear to be a troll. It seems to be a website that she is behind, in my opinion. So. All right. But there was lots of stuff like that on here where she's doing like workshops and activism. Let's see. What else did we have here? Yeah, activism through media workshop. Legal roundtable. That was the one that was in New York. Legal roundtable, justice for Laura Owens. So a bunch of people in New York are supposed to just get around and like talk about Laura Owens' case from the side of we believe Laura Owens. Do we really think that people, like there are actually more than a couple of people who aren't related to Laura who actually believe her side of these cases? I don't think so. But hey, Flux, what's going on? Yeah, this is insane. Okay. Let me, so I got some notes here, like I said, pulled some excerpts and quotes that we want to go through from all these articles because she does have a fair few articles on there. I think it's like 7 or something, maybe even more than that. And I'm not going to go through all of it today. I'll go through these portions, which I was just like, oh, okay, that's something that we need to comment on. But, you know, let me read these first. Let's see. I think I might have read this one already, but fake Laura Owens said, who, me? Thank you for the $2. Johnny, you, thank you for the $10. Long-time lurker, first-time poster. Love you, Lauren and Bruce the Moose. Merry Christmas. Guys, I got Bruce's book in the mail today. Did you know that Bruce wrote a book? I got to read it. I got it in my mailbox, and I opened it up, and I was like so excited about that. It has his name on the front and everything. It's very fancy. She misspelled justice. It's spelled jail. Thank you, Robin. Leanne Burkmeyer, thank you for the $20. Merry Christmas, Lauren. Oh, back at you. If you do Christmas, I don't know. Lots of people don't. So, but if you do, cool. IB0093, thank you for the $5. Merry Christmas live present. Thanks, Lauren. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I do. Fake Laura Owens, thank you for the $5. Jobs are overrated, just like honesty and self-awareness. Yeah, okay. So far, performing at my concert, Yanni and Milli Vanilli. I don't know the first one. I know who Milli Vanilli is, though. All right, thank you for the 5. Thanks, guys. Oh, shit. I forgot I titled the document that. I didn't know I was going to show it on the page. I'm sorry. But yeah, man. Steve says, I just looked and apparently plenty of seats available for the concert at the venue that does not exist in LA. All right. Let's zoom in a little bit so you guys can see better. Okay, give me 1 second here. Which legal people will be at the round table? Well, probably the people waiting to arrest her for leaving the state without getting permission. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, so I put the title of the article that these excerpts are from, and then I put like the portions that I wanted to comment on today. I'll probably go through each one of them after the holiday, obviously, but each one of them on their own. But I just don't want to do all of that today. So let's see what we got here. So this one was called The Missing Element, Why Intent Collapses the Case Against Laura Owens. Intent does not exist in a vacuum. Courts routinely consider whether a defendant's mental and cognitive profile affects how actions are perceived, processed, and understood. And I think a lot of you who have been following this know where this is going. Okay. Owens has publicly disclosed that she is autistic and has been diagnosed with panic disorder, anxiety, depression, PTSD, and traumatic brain injury. These conditions are not invoked to excuse wrongdoing. They are relevant because criminal intent requires conscious, knowing deception, not misunderstanding, miscommunication, emotional dysregulation, or distorted threat perception. Okay, so a lot of this stuff, I'm like, yeah, I know how this works because I live with it. Especially this diagnosis of autism, which she says she got after she was ruled against in the family court case with Clayton. She came out and said she's autistic and basically used it as an excuse for everything. But people who are autistic, they don't knowingly commit fraud on purpose to get out of things. Like, that's not how that works. Like, these are symptoms, like the things that she's doing, they're symptoms of like somebody with a personality disorder or an antisocial, personality disorder, that kind of thing. These are not symptoms of autism spectrum disorder. I'm somebody who got that diagnosis late in life, very late. I mean, recently, within the last year or so. And I'm just kind of like, I know how this works. I understand that, sometimes we may say things that other people are like, hey, you probably shouldn't say that out loud. So most of the time it's like this kind of impulsive honesty where you're saying stuff that you shouldn't say, and it's like not socially appropriate. That's not the same as being deceptive, going behind people's back and selectively telling the truth. In fact, it's quite the opposite of the problem that you would have if you were somebody who was struggling with autism spectrum disorder. Now, the degree to which she says her autism spectrum disorder would affect her life would require her to be much more impaired than she actually is. I worked in a hospital for a number of years, multiple hospitals around the city. And a lot of the people who were brought in through the police for emergency psych that I had to see were people who suffered with autism spectrum disorder to a degree they could not function properly without assistance. People who they would struggle on their own and they can't just go and do things by themselves. They're very triggered very easily, and people don't know how to control their behavior. Their families have a hard time managing them because it's so difficult. So there are varying degrees of the spectrum. I have a problem with the way that we categorize autism spectrum disorder now. I feel that people who are much higher functioning, they don't really belong in the same category as these people that I've seen. These heartbreaking, horrible cases that I've seen in the hospital. and like going through the system back and forth, because no one can take care of them and the state doesn't provide enough assistance to the families who need it. I have a problem with the way we categorize that, but as it stands, like anyone who is high functioning and says they have autism spectrum disorder, it doesn't mean they're not responsible for their behavior. It doesn't mean they don't know better. There's some impulse control issues there. There are some struggles with social cues, true. But it's not the same as being truly disabled by your condition. We know that she can, if she's willing, function on her own, because she has lived in an apartment by herself before, right? Even though it was her sister's apartment that she was living under her sister's name, whatever. She has lived on her own. She has, at some point or another, had her podcast, so she can get up and do work if she wants to do work. She knows when to make certain calculated moves to keep up a ruse. That's not an autism thing, so it's really confusing to see her continue to try to pass this off as a symptom of autism. Any expert is going to be able to come up and destroy that if they were to try to use that in court. I don't understand why she thinks this is going to fly. I'm certain that her attorneys would not be advising her that this was going to be something that would work. Even if you have a severe thought disorder, like schizophrenia, to where you're barely functional in society, like, you're not guaranteed to like get off with the insanity defense, right? So there's a very, very low rate of success with that. And you have to be so fucking ill to the point you can't function to make your own website and write on medium.com about all these things and act like you're this educated, functional person who has all this money and status, even though you know you're about to go bankrupt and you're a psychopath. But, you know, like, you can't do all that and then later pretend, oh no, I'm so ill because of my autism that I can't be held accountable for my own actions. And you also can't do that while also writing in other articles on the same fucking website that you're innocent and that you didn't do anything wrong. Like, what's wrong with you? Oh my God. Let's see. They never should have lumped Asperger's into autism. I agree. While it did make it easier for those with Asperger's to some assistance in school, which I don't think is a bad thing, it skewed the public's perception of what autism can be. No, I totally agree with that. I think my own issue, like I always talk about, right, my problems here pretty openly. Like, my own issues would fall under the category of Asperger's more than like autism spectrum disorder, but they decided to lump them into one. So it's like, anyone who has autism spectrum disorder is not necessarily going to struggle to the same degree as another, if that makes sense. So, but yeah. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Autism spectrum conditions in particular are well documented to affect social communication, interpretation of interpersonal cues, and responses under stress. Panic disorder and PTSD further complicate perception during emotionally charged events. What, like giving a blowjob? Lady. like what you're saying makes no sense at all. None of these conditions negate responsibility, but they do bear directly on whether conduct reflects calculated criminal purpose or maladaptive response to crisis. That's a nice ChatGPT answer, especially with the little M dash there. And I don't know about the bolding and stuff she probably has on the website, because I obviously put this stuff out in a Google Doc, but dude, like this stuff does not make sense for her situation. Like, you're spitting out random facts about somebody who has a certain type of mental disorder, but you're not actually showing how it's relevant to your situation at all. Like, how did panic disorder and PTSD factor into your decision to allegedly order HCG from a med spa, inject yourself with it, or take pills intentionally to elevate your levels so that you could pretend to be pregnant? None of that has to do with PTSD. None of that has to do with autism. That's not a trait of autism. You're just a psycho. All right. Should I be wrapping presents? Yes. Did I run to your video? Yes. I mean, you can do both, dude. At the same time, actually. So I got to do mine after this. I have like 20 presents all over to my mom's house. But Kirsty Jones, thank you for the 5. Merry Christmas. Lovely to see you. Happy to you and your family. Oh, you too. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. All right. So Criminal law distinguishes sharply between deliberate fraud and conduct driven by confusion, fear, or impaired judgment. Yeah. So the thing is, you're not intellectually disabled or developmentally disabled. That's not Laura's situation. So it's interesting that she's trying to put this forth. I'm like, you are somebody who maybe suffers from some depression, from what I can tell, some anxiety, maybe from what I can tell. None of the other conditions, the way she describes them, actually fit. Sure, I don't know her, but I've seen enough at this point to know that she's describing things that aren't necessarily in touch with the reality of the actual situations. When you see body cam footage of her, when you see her speak in court, that kind of thing. This all strikes as personality disorder, inability to take personal responsibility for her actions, and fraud. So, you know, I can't, I can't, I don't know. It's still just like so jarring. You know what I mean? Especially when you kind of step away from it for a minute and you come back and you're like, oh my God, you actually are this, like you're colloquially insane, but not literally. But like you can be a nutbag without being somebody who's not responsible for their actions. And I think she's kind of a nutbag. And like to put it in very non-clinical terms, like I always say, she's not insane, but she is a crazy asshole. Like you can be not insane and still be a crazy person. That's what we're looking at here. You're a crazy person, but you're still responsible for your actions. All right. Amen on the autism. My son will never live on his own, will never read or write, and has to have help with everything. I'm so sick of completely functional adults with bad behavior claiming autism. Yeah. And it's pretty sick. That's pretty sick that they do that. I'm sorry for your experience with your son, that he has to have so much help with everything. I know that it's hard to get that kind of help. So I wish things were different, but unfortunately families who have people with, autism spectrum disorder who cannot care for themselves, they have a very, very hard time throughout their family members, child and adult life. So, all right. Let's see. 1 second, guys. Where mental health conditions plausibly affect how someone understands and reacts to a situation, the inference of intent must be supported by evidence, not assumed here that evidence is absent. So explain to me how evidence that you used someone else's ultrasound and changed it to put your name on it, or hired someone from Fiverr to alter it, is absent evidence. I think we're missing some pieces here. So. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Okay. This one was called Opinion Rachel Mitchell Turned One Disabled Woman's Love Life into a 14-count felony spectacle. Lady, oh God. I would not categorize. I'm sorry. I would not categorize a blowjob as a love life. Like, you had oral sex with one of your victims, just oral sex, and then claimed he got you pregnant with twins. With another one of them, he jizzed on your back, and then you're like, he got me pregnant with twins. That's not a love life. You're creepy. You're creepy if you keep categorizing this as a love life. Only one of her victims actually had a relationship of some kind with her for an extended period of time, and even that, she faked cancer with him. She faked pregnancy multiple times. As you guys heard Mike describe himself, she pretended that they removed her ovary through her vagina because she couldn't explain why she didn't have scars from surgery. So they're like, oh, they just went in and removed my ovary through my vagina. Oh my God. These articles remind me of her blogs because she wrote them. That's what I think. I think she wrote them, of course. Like anyone who's been following this at all knows that she wrote this. But, we can't, like I said, we can't prove it. I can't go back and see like who wrote the website. So, all right. So, like I said, I just took excerpts and quotes, guys. So these are not whole articles. I can't go through the whole articles. It's just too much for today. I'll probably do one at a time later on. So, um, so I did what the press largely hasn't bothered to do. I went past the JFC threads and slick breakdowns, pulled the dockets, read the civil and family court filings in full, and walked through both indictments line by line. I went looking for the massive hidden fraud that would justify turning a family court disaster into a 14-count epic. I didn't find it. So here's the thing. When Laura, in my opinion, writes this article, she writes it as an anonymous Laura Owens supporter. So she writes it as someone else. And we know that she's not above committing fraud by pretending to be someone else. So she writes this article as if she's someone who at first believed the prosecution, and first believed the victims, and like then saw the case, read the court documents, and decided she believed Laura. And that is somebody who needs to take a competency test, or it's Laura. Like, if you actually went through the trouble of reading the court documents and all the family court filings and all the civil cases, and you came to that conclusion, you need assistance. Like, you need help reading things. I'm sorry. There's just no way you read that and you come to that conclusion. That is actually fucking insane. Okay. Yet it is Owens, a 35-year-old autistic woman. Again, they describe her as an autistic woman as if that has anything to do with it. Who reportedly weighs in the 80s. Laura, you know how much you weigh. Stop writing like this. With no prior criminal record. That doesn't mean anything. Lots of people who were put away for life for murder didn't have a prior criminal record. It doesn't mean it didn't happen. Across the two indictments, who is now being treated as if she were running a high-end criminal racket. Yeah, so the fraud has spanned for like a decade with at least 3 publicly known victims and 2 others who have not come forward. And maybe more than that. So across the 2 indictments, she faces 2 charges in the same felony class as manslaughter, plus 5 perjury counts and a stack of additional felonies. On paper, if a judge ever ran the maximums back-to-back, she could be looking at more than 60 years, effectively life in prison, over how she handled the worst months of her love life. God. And as I'm reading this here, I'm realizing now that if Laura did try to, at any point, try to sue anyone or take their video down for copyright, she would have to admit that she wrote this stuff and she owns the website. Which is hilarious. Yeah, because you can't, I mean, you could pretend to be somebody else and make that complaint to YouTube, but you would have to use somebody else's name, commit more fraud, and then what happens when we go to the court? Because I'm that bitch. Like, you're gonna have to drag me to court. What's gonna happen then? You're gonna use a fake alias to file a lawsuit against me? Not that I'm actually doing any copyright, because I'm using actual commentary. This is public commentary on a public case. This is very public information. So like, it's not like I'm just like copy pasting and reading it word for word and not saying anything. So, but I think that would be hilarious. But I'm just thinking about that now because I'm reading this as from a Laura Owens supporter. I'm like, yeah, okay. I would like to see that Laura Owens supporter try to get my video removed because we all know she's going to. Amazing. Okay. On paper, if a judge ever ran the maximums back-to-back, she could be looking at more than 60 years, effectively life in prison, over how she handled the worst months of her love life. Again, that's not a love life. It's just a blowjob. Like, I don't know what you want anyone to say to that. But also, like, hold on. I'm having a weird hair day. But also, they weren't just your worst months of your love life. They were like your victims' worst months of their life. And they deserve justice for what you put them through. And then as far as like this, like comparing it to the high-end criminal racket, blah, blah, blah. Like I said, it's been something that's been ongoing for like a decade. So, all right. Neither man says she wanted his money. Neither claims physical injury. Okay. There are crimes that fall outside of that. You understand that, right? Have you ever heard of white collar crime? You got a rich daddy. I think you have. With Eckert, well, you did. They're pretty broke now, thanks to you. With Eckert, she asked for a parenting plan, not a payout. With Gillespie, she once proposed that any judgment in the civil case go to charity, not to herself. Bitch! What are you talking about? What? In their own telling, she was chasing connection, not cash. Okay, when chasing connection is just like you're trying to date people and see if you can find a boyfriend, that's one thing. When chasing connection means you're harassing someone from different aliases, different phone numbers, and impersonating medical personnel, then it becomes more than chasing connection. It becomes criminal fraud and harassment. My God. You can believe she was never pregnant. You can believe she was, or you can sit uneasily in the middle, and the question still doesn't go away. How did a woman the state itself effectively paints as desperate for relationships wind up charged like someone who killed 2 people? Nobody said she killed 2 people. Nobody said that. And you committed, like I said, 10 years of fraud. Like you have to own up to that at some point. This is like, you may have been charged for the first time. It doesn't mean it's the first time you committed the crime. As you can see by the second set of 77 felony charges. But like, dude, this is nuts. And I like how they acknowledge that the state says she was desperate for relationships, and she says the state paints it as desperate for relationships. She tried to make these men sign dating contracts in order to get an abortion of their fake baby so that they could have her out of their lives. Like, that's fucking insane. So insane. All right. Okay. And then I skipped some parts here because, like I said, I just took out some excerpts. I'm not doing a whole thing, but Eckert did not walk into this as a universally beloved figure. His season of The Bachelor was widely criticized. One recap famously asked, well, here's my problem with famously asked, is like she goes back and forth between saying Clayton is so famous that it ruined her reputation in life because he was so famous that she didn't have a fair chance. And then she goes back to saying like, he's actually just not that relevant. He wants fame, but he's like, he can't have it because he's not that relevant. You got to pick one. One recap famously asked whether he was the biggest F-boy in Bachelor history. His public brand was guy who humiliated women on television, not model citizen. So this has nothing to do with whether or not you committed fraud. I mean, you could have committed fraud against Johnny Manziel. Like, he's not a super popular figure. A lot of people too, because like he has some stuff that happened, but it doesn't mean you didn't commit fraud. You know what I mean? I'm just thinking of somebody who was painted as a fuckboy with good reason, because that guy kind of sucked. But dude, it doesn't matter who you committed the fraud upon. You still committed the fraud, and then you have all these other innocent victims that preceded him, which makes it even worse. So I don't care if he's the biggest fuckboy in the world, but by the way, that is a pressure cooker situation. Being on The Bachelor, it's not like normal dating, and people behave in a way that is socially unacceptable for normal dating. And of course, those people get scrutinized and criticized by the public. And I'm like, we have no idea what these people are going through. So I used to look at these like Bachelor subreddits, and I would be one of the crowd being like, oh my God, that person's a terrible, terrible person. Oh my God, I can't believe they did that. What a douchebag, what a loser. And like, we kind of see these people as irredeemable for what they do on reality TV. But I know Clayton. Clayton's a friend now. I didn't know him before his case with Laura, but I do now. And I got connected with Clayton at first because he did a nice thing for me. And if he hadn't done that, I wouldn't have paid attention to any of this too much, other than I saw it on the Bachelor subreddit. You know what I mean? So Clayton's not just some Bachelor fuckboy. Like, he might not be a great at dating. I mean, from what I've seen, I've never really asked him about his dating life outside of what I've seen on TV, but because there's a lot more to him than that. So this whole shaming the victim on her website thing is not a really great look. I think that if you paid attention to this case at all, which more and more people will as it gets more popularity, you're going to learn that there's a lot more to Clayton and what he does in his life to try to help people with their, mental health issues, being an advocate, and just generally being a nice guy who cares for people and tries to make people smile. Even if he's like dorky and goofy with his dancing, he's like, I don't care if like there are really mean people out there who are always going to shame and flame me for this. I just want to like be happy and make other people happy, encourage them to be happy too. So, painting him like this, it's not going to end up doing her any favors in the long run. I think there's a lot that you can see about Clayton outside of reality television that will tell you what kind of guy he is to know he didn't deserve that. And even if you do think he's the biggest fuckboy on the planet, he still didn't deserve this. So, being bad at dating, making mistakes in reality TV dating, it's not a crime. So, fraud is, though. This kind of fraud, medical fraud, that's a crime. Fraud upon the court, that's a crime. Lying under oath intentionally about material facts, that's a crime. All right. Owens' paternity petition handed him something much better, a redemption role. In his retelling on podcasts and reality spinoffs, he became the nearly ruined man targeted by a woman who would supposedly say anything, a storyline he has repeated so often that the litigation now functions as season 2 of his media life rather than a one-off court case. Shut up, bitch. Thank God. I don't even have anything else to say to that. She wishes she was that important. Like, the thing is, like, not that many people, even now, with the Law and Crime and the Inside Edition and all that, even now, when you think about the total population, like, she's actually not that well known. Like, she's not that important. It's just not. And I would love for everybody to know what this woman has done and make sure that people like her can't do this again. But the thing is, at this point in time, as much as reading more and more publicity of this case, it's still not like a super huge case going on in this country like Luigi Mangione, right? It's not like that. It's not this huge earth-shattering case that has implications for everybody everywhere. Like, yes, you could say, as I often do, that it is an offense to women who have actually been abused in the way that she pretended to be abused. You can say it's offensive to women who have actually suffered miscarriages and to people who have actually needed the help of the family court system that didn't get it. You can say it's offensive, but it's not the same as like these huge high-profile cases in this country, these murder trials she's comparing herself to for some reason. You're just not that important. To me, personally, I have a problem with the way that she weaponizes fake abuse. That's a problem for me. I take great offense to that. I don't like the way that she weaponizes her pretend autism diagnosis, in my opinion. I don't think she has autism. I think it's very offensive, but it's not getting this widespread grip on our country the way that like these higher profile cases are, or celebrity cases. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not happening. So I don't know, man. It's just nuts. Give me one sec. All right. Around that storyline, a cottage industry grew. Under the Justice for Clayton banner, accounts sprang up on X, Instagram, Reddit, and YouTube, along with dedicated sites for the cause. Okay, well, you did bring your case to the national media. That's what happened. You tried to get national media to cover it. So, let's see. They did not read like casual fan pages. Well, because they're not fan pages. They're not fan pages. What do you mean? Nobody's a fan of what you're doing or what anyone who you victimized had to go through. They're not fan pages. They read like an organized project to turn one woman into a permanent villain, multi-page wikis cataloging the Laura Owens court cases, curated timelines of every filing, links to fundraisers for the men, and whole playlists of monetized commentary content breaking down her medical records, text message, and court appearances episode by episode. In the comments section, strangers who have never met Owens vote on whether or not a new filing makes her a monster, a predator, or a pathological liar. Her life is treated as content to be refreshed, not a reality to be lived in. Then don't bring your case to the national media and then use the taxpayer-funded court system to perpetrate your fraud. Like, you can't do that. You can't have it both ways. If you don't want people to comment on this stuff, you shouldn't have brought it to the public to comment on. So, her life is treated as content to be refreshed. Bitch, get a life. Then maybe people won't be doing this. Like, she continues to try to reframe this as if she is being wronged somehow. And people continue to point out how that doesn't make sense and why it's inappropriate. If you would just get a job and go do something else, then maybe that would stop. Just saying. Making a website is maybe not the play. Maybe not the play, especially if you're complaining about monetizing and fundraisers and organization of timelines, and then you make a website that's like trying to give commentary on the cases and get donations. You're literally doing what you're complaining about right now. I don't know what your problem is. So anything but get a job. Any day. So, all right. The fixation hasn't stayed online. Supporters trade court dates, travel to hearing, live posts from the hallway, and treat routine status conferences like fan conventions. No one is a fan of you. So that's not going to make sense. As far as the supporters going to court dates and traveling to hearing, the public has a right, again, to the taxpayer funded court system to know about public court dates. They have a right to attend public hearings. There are limits to that. Like, you can't live stream from, say, like the hearing in San Francisco with Mike's case. Like, you couldn't live stream from that. They have limits to that to protect privacy in certain types of cases. But you can't just decide that you're so important that the public who funds the court system and has a right to justice and like this kind of like knowing what's going on with our courts, you can't then complain about that. You can't both want there to be justice within the court system, but then also want there to be some sort of private resolution to where no one's allowed to know about it. Like, you can't have it both ways. Laura, if you're watching this, Starbucks within walking distance of the casita is hiring, starting at least $16.25 an hour. Yeah. Hopefully they don't Google their applicants, but yeah. Yeah, that's no one else's fault. I mean, she could get a job somewhere if she wanted to, especially now that she's bankrupt. But she doesn't feel like it, so. All right. Money is raised to buy police body cam footage and obtain records. Right, that stuff is available to the public, again, for a reason. The resulting clips are chopped into reaction videos and passed around for sport. No, we watched all the footage for the most part. I mean, I've watched way more footage of her than I wanted to. When people watch the whole thing, she complains that they're like these long monetized videos, but then when they like clip it for content, they're like, well, look, they're just cutting out context. Again, you have to pick a lane. You can't have it both ways. So, all right. Let's see. The resulting clips are chopped into reaction videos. The emotional through line is not concern about the integrity of the legal system. Actually, it is. Because she's been abusing the legal system against all these victims, which is the actual problem here. It is hostility towards a single woman who in this universe has stopped being a person altogether and become a hated character they feel entitled to drag from platform to platform. Well, the reason she keeps getting dragged is because she keeps going from platform to platform, lying and committing fraud. Not because people just hate you for fun. It's because you keep going from platform to platform, shaming your victims, trying to ruin their reputations, and committing fraud. Even under different aliases sometimes. I served him a latte and he got me pregnant. All right. Body camera footage of the raid obtained through a paid public records request, right? People can get public records even if they have to pay for them. Crowdfunded by a Justice for Clayton creator, who no doubt was a member of the public. Shows the 16 officers stack in full tactical gear, shouting commands and threatening to breach the door. Well, open the fucking door then, and they won't have to do that. They weren't threatening because they wanted to do that. They actually explicitly said, we don't want to break this. Can you just open the fucking door? Like, they didn't say it like that. I said it like that. But when officers pull Owens into the hallway, she panics, swears, and pleads with them not to wake or drag her disabled father out of bed. An instinctive human reaction to armed men flooding your home before sunrise. Yeah, she also said that they drew guns on her when they didn't. You can see clearly she lied on the body cam footage. So you can't really take anything she's saying about the footage to heart. The framing online has been anything but human. The footage was chopped into viral clips and reposted as commentary fodder for the same online community that has been demanding her indictment for months. Strangers debated her tone, posture, and fear as though they were evaluating a reality show episode, not a real-world raid on a disabled woman's home. You're not disabled. You're a cunt. I'm so tired of this. I'm disabled because I diagnosed myself with autism after I had a judgment against me for the first time because I've gotten away with shit for so long. Well, it must be because I'm autistic. No, you're not disabled. You're just a bitch. Jesus. The video then migrated to outlets like the Daily Mail and Inside Edition, where a few chaotic seconds were turned into shorthand for her entire mental state. Okay. If Maricopa County has ever deployed a full tactical team in response to allegations rooted in a paternity petition, it has not been advertised. Well, let's think about this. Did a tactical team get deployed in response to allegations from a paternity petition, or was it because she actually committed fraud, had a judgment against her, and was engaging in extensive ongoing fraud that included, allegedly, ordering HCG from an outside source so that she could raise her levels in order to continue to fake pregnancies and fake cancer? She faked cancer. A forensic analysis of text messages that she sent confirmed that. In a case with no violence, no weapons, no criminal history, and no ongoing threat, being met with a 16-officer pre-dawn SWAT-style entry, all I can say to that is get the fuck over it. You don't get to drag victims through the mud for 10 years and then whine and cry when you finally get caught. No one cares. No one cares. All right. On May 6th, Mitchell's office issued a press release announcing that a grand jury had indicted Laura Michelle Owens on 7 felony counts tied to what MCAO called a paternity scheme against Eckerd. Yeah. According to that release and subsequent media coverage, investigators concluded that between May 2023 and June 2024, Owens altered an ultrasound image, fabricated a pregnancy video, and lied multiple times under oath. Yeah, so that stuff actually happened. These are facts. I mean, I don't know what you want to say. You want to try to sue me for that? Go ahead. I'm begging you to try to sue me. Seriously, give me a chance to drag you in court. Fuck you. She actually did all that. That's a fact, not an allegation. If you only read the press release, you would never know that early clinic-run HCG tests are in the record and have not been alleged to be forged. No one gives a shit about that. Like I said, you're alleged to have purchased HCG to artificially raise your levels. Or that the ultrasound image and video at the heart of the case was sent privately to Eckerd, not presented to the court as official exhibits, and you still faked it. The public storyline is streamlined, not a chaotic early pregnancy that went off the rails because you weren't pregnant, but a neat scheme slotted on the same page of MCAO's websites as murderers, child predators, and road rage shooters. You mean other criminals? Other criminals, right? You don't commit crimes. It's pretty fucking simple. All right, this one is the cost of turning a story into a case. And again, I've only got some excerpts here. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I just picked out some. This is not a story about whether Laura Owens is sympathetic, credible, or likable. Well, okay. It's not even a story about whether she was right or wrong in the statements she made. It is a story about proportionality and about what happens when a justice system appears to reserve the most muscular response, not for the most dangerous conduct, but for the most visible defendants. So she's trying to say that the justice system is basically wasting valuable resources punishing her when she's not the worst criminal out there. Like that's your statement? That's what you want to go with. And then here's where, again, she's transparently trying to invoke emotions in other people to try to get them on her side. And it's gross. It's gross, like in the most disgusting way possible. What does it say to families who lost loved ones to gun violence? That this case received urgency while theirs did not. So what would you say to families who had people, their families were killed, but you're giving my case urgency and not theirs? Like, your case has been postponed multiple times. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like, all right. What does it say to survivors of sexual assault whose evidence remains untested, that the county could find time, energy, and creativity here? It says that they're going to prosecute people who waste the system for actual victims of sexual assault. They're going to prosecute somebody who lies about it, abuses public court resources to victimize somebody, and then commits fraud upon the court. You're wasting valuable resources for survivors of abuse, victims of abuse, who actually need these systems in place. What a dumbass question. All right. What does it say to the public when a prosecutor appears more animated by online attention than by unresolved violence? What the hell are you talking about? Every day I see posts from MCAO about how murderers or rapists or whatever were convicted or caught. You know what I mean? Like, shut the fuck up. The answer is uncomfortable, but is increasingly difficult to avoid. Dude, you're on another planet right now. Jesus. The prosecution does not appear to be protecting the public from harm. Are you joking? No one in Phoenix is afraid of encountering this defendant on a dark street. I would be. I know 2 people who live in that area who would be. Actually, you know, at least 3 or 4, now that I think about it. You're a little frightening. No community was made safer by the filing of these charges. No pattern of violence was interrupted. You don't have to have a pattern of violence to notice a pattern of crime. Your crimes were not victimless. Doesn't mean you actually physically hurt anyone. It just means you're finally getting stopped before it gets to that point. So, tried before trial, how public certainty erased the presumption of innocence. A woman who had never been accused of violence, who had no criminal history, who stood barely over 90 pounds and lived quietly with her aging parents. Oh, no. Don't try to make people feel bad for you because of your parents, because they enabled you. Became the subject of relentless hostility, ridicule, and moral certainty because you did what you're accused of. She was not merely doubted, she was despised. Listen, I don't know if it matters if anyone despises you or not. The thing is, people want you to go to jail and serve your time for your crimes. So, plus, you killed off all those fake babies, so it's not like you're not a murderer. Just saying. Give me 1 sec. Ashley in yay. I'm Lauren's sister IRL. Yeah, that is my sister. Hello. RIP to the fake babies. Yes, thank you for that. I am talking to you. I'm coming over in 3 hours. God. Okay. Anyways. Let's see. It is tempting to attribute that reaction to the allegations alone, to tell ourselves that the public certainty reflects the strength of the evidence. Yeah? A court literally found that she lied about being pregnant. But even a quick glance at history complicates that assumption. For decades, family courts across the country have dealt with messy disputes about pregnancy, paternity, false assurances, conflicting recollections, and broken relationships. These cases rarely make the news. They almost never become criminal matters. Well, again, what she did was substantial, has gone on for over a decade with multiple victims, up to 5, maybe more victims. And this is absolutely fucking absurd. Because you actually committed fraud upon the court. And then she's trying to get the taxpayers on her side, like the public on her side, as if she didn't waste their time and resources and their hard-earned income from their jobs that fund these systems when she refuses to get a job, sits in her casita all day, won't clean it, won't go to Starbucks to fill out an application. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you that you would do this and think that anyone's going to give a shit? I would love to know who shows up for your concert at the fake venue. Jesus. All right. I don't think we really need to read this part right now. Like I said, I'll go over these things like a little bit one by one. There's a lot of articles. There was this thing that she says, if Maury and catfish were crimes. Okay. Maury, you're not the father thing. And then the catfish, we all know what Catfish, the MTV show is, right? So here again is where she's like floating these theories about, making it a crime to behave badly. But it's like, she's again almost saying like, well, yeah, maybe I did that, but like, should the criminal court really get involved? And the answer is yes. Jesus. A justice system that criminalizes relational chaos would collapse under its own weight. Actually, what relational chaos, what you're referring to as relational chaos is actually abuse. Laura Owens is an abuser. It's not an opinion. I believe that to be true. And abuse often does lead to consequences under the law. So just because you didn't physically abuse someone doesn't make you not an abuser. But if we want to talk about relational chaos, then we better be, painting that with a broad brush, right? And she's trying to limit it to reality TV situations, which doesn't apply to her. But also, abuse is something that gets, dealt with through the courts. What has changed is not the behavior, it is the context in which the behavior is viewed. Celebrity transformed a private dispute into a public spectacle. Lady, like, Again, nobody knew who you were until you went to TMZ and whoever else, and the Sun, who finally picked up on your story. She like went to all these national news media outlets. Ashley, what are you talking about? Okay, sorry, my sister's being very strange today. Okay, I was distracted. Anyways, yeah, I totally lost my train of thought there. I can't read any more comments because no. Spectacle hardened into moral certainty. Moral certainty demanded punishment, and punishment arrived dressed as law. So the celebrity in this case had nothing to do with it because he wasn't actually mentioning anything to do with her until she decided to take him to court over fake babies and then bring it to the national media. So the danger is not limited to one defendant. Once the boundary between private misrepresentation and criminal fraud is erased, it does not selectively reappear. So basically, she's saying once the court starts to call you a criminal for lying, it's not a selective thing. Like they're going to start to criminally prosecute everyone for lying to their spouses, their boyfriends, their girlfriends, whatever. And that's clearly not what happened here. Committing actual like medical fraud is not the same thing as lying to your boyfriend about where you were last night. That's not a thing. So, reality television has always depended on the idea that people could behave badly without being criminals. Okay, but that's you committed crime, right? So they don't depend on the idea you can commit crime without being a criminal. That distinction is what allows viewers to judge without fearing the consequences for themselves. Yeah, but you did crime. You did all the crime. That's a little different, don't you think? All right. Let me read through these and then, oh my gosh, it's been an hour. So, Pascal Muller, 1903, thank you for the £2. Is there a significance to the date 3/11/2025? Is there? There might be. Maybe there's a hearing date there. I know her case got moved a couple times. I can't remember what the dates were supposed to be. Now it's in June. Is it in June or is it in July? Fuck. I don't know. I think it's in June. Because Justin's case is in May, and then Laura's is in June. So that's what I'm thinking. If I go to both of those, I'm going to have to quit my fucking day job. I'm not even kidding. But we'll see. That'll be a game time decision, I think. Fake Laura Owens, thank you for the $5. Uh-oh, the Discord chat just caught me linking to my own YouTube account. I'm busted. Yeah, there's a lot more from that website that I need to go over, but I can't do it today because it's Christmas Eve. So, Julie Morel, thank you for the 10. Merry Christmas and back at you. Thank you very much. Stir Crazy, thank you for the 10. Thank you for your hard work and always keeping us updated. Merry Christmas to you and your family. Thanks, I appreciate you. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out. Well, okay, my sister is. Everyone say hi to my sister. She wants to know who is my number one fan here. Ashley, I don't know. Tell my sister who's my number one fan here. All right, I gotta go. Like I said, I got stuff to do, and then I have somewhere to be in a couple hours, 3 hours. So, all right. Josh Ritter briefly touched on this case and said, I don't know her mental health diagnosis, but I can say her behavior is criminal. Yeah. Yeah. Wait, don't go. What do you mean don't go? I have to go. I have stuff to do. Oh, I'm not doing that. All right. Thanks, guys. I will, probably not tomorrow. But actually, let's see if anyone is up right now that I can redirect to. I like to try to do that for people when I can. Give me one sec. Custom redirect. I think Megan is going to be on tonight, and she's going to do Quiplash, I think, is what she said. So if you want to check that out, I think she said 8:15 p.m. Yeah, let's do this. We'll go over to Shizzy. I'm redirecting you guys to Shizzy, my friend, so let them know I said hello. And like I said earlier, if you missed it, I have my streams backed up on Twitch now. So if you don't see it on YouTube, like if stuff gets removed, just go to Twitch TV and find me there. Let me pull up my channel for you. I'm going to post a link in the chat here. So she's been mass reporting videos, so if it gets removed from YouTube, just find it here. And that'll be good. Okay, like I said, spam Shizzy with lots of bacon emojis, and have a good night, everyone. I will see you later. I'm gonna have to end the stream. Okay, there we go. Ashley, Stop yelling at me. Okay, goodbye.